Hello, my name is Allie, and welcome to my channel. We are back with Mystic Destiny's Serendipity of Aeons, Tatsuya's Rep. Let's go. We left Choa's upscale area, heading into a lower part of the district. My head has been pounding like a drum all this time, and it only keeps getting worse as time goes on. Ugh, why do I feel so awful? I cast a sideways glance at Katsu, who's walking right next to me. I shouldn't have said yes. I should have just stayed home. A strange heaviness settles in my chest. My thoughts begin to spiral downwards into the countless what-ifs. It starts to feel almost as if something was trying to claw its way out of my ribcage. What if Tatsuya did see me? I try not to grimace. What if he did? What did he think then? Just thinking about him makes my mood turn dark again. For whatever reason, my thoughts stray far too easily to him. Katsu wordlessly strides alongside me with his hands in his pockets, while I continue to torture myself with my silent thoughts. I can feel him glance at me without even looking at him.
You sure you don't want to go somewhere fancier for food? I don't care about showing up in whatever kind of clothing I like.
I fight the urge to sigh. He didn't even need to say it. That much was clear already. Katsu had said he wanted to take me to some fancy upscale restaurant. But while he might not care about it, I would have felt too awkward going in there while looking so casual. When I don't reply fast enough, he laughs.
You know, you're making this very hard on me.
I look at him, unable to hide my confusion. Huh?
Being so quiet and refusing to let me wine and dine you?
I've said this already, before even going out anywhere. But I'm here on behalf of Shinomura Industries. My reply seems only to amuse him more, and he laughs again. Whatever he was going to say, Katsunosuke cuts himself off and suddenly stops. Not expecting an abrupt stop like that, I almost walk Try again. Not expecting an abrupt stop like that, I almost walk face first right into him. I look up just in time to see him stop. I can't see why he stopped, so I move to step around him when he quickly turns around and grabs me by the arm. Katsu, what? He roughly pulls me into the side alley. What do you think you're doing? You can't just... Before I can protest further, Katsu pushes me up against the wall and covers my mouth with his hand. What the hell? He's so close that I can barely move my arms. I try to pry his hand away from my mouth, but I can't reach. I struggle against him, pounding my fists against his chest. I try to push him away with all my strength, but Katsu doesn't move, not even an inch. Any attempts I made are fruitless. He's far stronger than he looks. I look up, ready to glare him into the ground, but he's not doing anything. Katsunosuke doesn't seem to be trying to do anything, except hold me still and quiet. In fact, he's not even looking at me. I follow his line of sight. His eyes are focused on the alley's entrance. I stop moving entirely and relax. What's going on? I glance up at him with a frown. Don't tell me he spotted one of his girlfriends or something. I wouldn't exactly be surprised if that was actually the case. Derp. Unable to do anything else, I look back to the alley entrance, and that's when I see it. Oh my god. Who the hell is this? A hooded figure covered in dark purple clothing stands there. I can barely blink before the figure runs up to us in a flash and attacks Katsu with something. They move much too fast for me to see what it is. That guy's creepy. Katsu doesn't hesitate to throw me to the ground. Oof! With an almost lazy wave of his hand, a wave of water bursts forth from seemingly nowhere, blocking the incoming attack. The attacker is sent back a few steps, but they manage to hold their ground. The two stare at each other for a moment before Katsu finally speaks.
Who the hell are you?
Instead of answering, the stranger suddenly jumps to the side, away from Katsu, and rushes at me. In mid-air, they form a deadly-looking icicle, ready to stab me. I freeze at the sight. I can't breathe. My lungs feel as if they're closing up. Oh, her eyes are turning green. Both of them. A strange tingling spreads through my whole body. It's like a million tiny pinpricks are trying to break through my skin. Flashes of the outburst in Professor Kazama's class come to mind, but the heat I felt from that time isn't here. I feel cold. So deathly cold and numb. A sensation of floating in nothingness. My body starts to move on its own, throwing out my hand in front of me. A wall of ice shoots out of the ground. The assailant barely manages to stop before they hit the ice and drops their icicle. But that doesn't seem to matter in the slightest. Shit, not again. My body is beyond my control. Ice spreads from my body all around me. I can't do anything. I feel as if I'm floating in my own mind, unable to even blink. I hear the distant screams of other stragglers in the alley, but it's all starting to get hazy. Move, damn it! I put everything I have into moving, into doing something, but it's as if my body is truly not my own. Jagged peaks shoot out from the ice on the ground, and ice runs along the walls. They sharpen and wildly grow into all directions. My vision is getting darker. The assailant is caught in my eruptions of ice as they try to flee. The last thing I see Katsuo throw out his hand, sending a giant wave of water at the deadly spikes coming towards him. Then I black out, and there goes my toilet. Lovely. Oh my god, where are we? It looks like a little girl's room almost. The pink. Interesting. Even before I fully awaken, I get the feeling that I'm not somewhere safe and familiar. Slowly, I open my eyes, already fearing what I might see. I'm greeted with an unexpected view of a chandelier in a dark room. In front of me, at the opposite end of the room, there's a large glass window where moonlight is pouring in. I can clearly see the millions of stars in the sky, which tells me at a glance that I'm probably nowhere near the city. But then, I hear something terrifying. The soft sound of a person's breathing. The soft sound of a person's breathing. I almost did it again, next to me. I force myself to turn my head and see what I feared I might. Katsunosuke's sleeping face, not all that far from mine. Ooh, girl, what'd you get yourself into? What did you do? I feel a scream rising within my chest, but I frantically clasp my hands over my mouth. My heart racing, I manage to gently roll away while I gather my thoughts together. That's Katsu. But what happened? The events come back to me in fragments, getting attacked by that person, Katsu and I about to go out to eat. The time I spent with Tatsuya earlier today seems like it happened weeks ago. I try to take in deep, shivering breaths and calm down. Okay, I don't know what happened, or what Katsu might have done with me. Yeah, that's a little creepy, honey. But I know I need to get away from here. With that thought in mind, though I'm terrified Katsu might wake up, I gingerly sit up on the side of the bed. I check to see if he woke up from the movement, but his face looks as relaxed as ever. Even innocent. I push the thought out of my mind, knowing damn well he's the furthest thing from innocent. I stand up and start moving toward the door. It's only then that I realize the room seems very feminine, like a woman's room. Is this really Katsu's room? Katsu's a little weird if this is his room. While it's true he's a little eccentric, I didn't imagine him to have tastes like this. I don't think so. I guess you can't really tell what someone might like from seeing them. I start to move again, but stop when I see the view outside the window. It takes my breath away. There are empty fields that seem to go on forever, the wind gently stirring the grass under the pale light of the moon. I know I should be freaking out considering I just confirmed my fear, and I am indeed, far away from the city. But I'm too enthralled by the stunning view. I stare at it for a few moments, letting it calm my mind and body. I hear something behind me then, and my heart stops in my chest. I quickly turn around, but Katsu is still right right where I left him, albeit in a different position. Right, okay, I can admire the view later. I need to get out of here. I move to the door as quietly as I can and slip out of the room. Oh, interesting hallway. Interesting. I can't see anything at first, but soon my eyes adjust better to the dark. I realize that I'm actually in a traditionally styled Japanese house. But how? That room was nothing like the rest of the house. Pushing the mystery of that room out of my mind, I cautiously move down the stairs. They creak, and my own rapid breathing gets faster with every step. I feel like my heart is going to explode by the time I reach the bottom. But somehow I manage to keep it together until I find the door that, I hope, leads to outside. I finally make it outside. I haven't heard a single sound aside from me. I stop for a moment in the shadows to calm my racing heart. I lean against the building and stare at the million stars above, wondering where the hell I am. Then I hear a sound. I stop breathing and look from side to side. What was that? It was so faint, but it seemed close. But I don't hear anything. After a few seconds, I decide to start moving again, reasoning that I should get out of here no matter where I am. I start walking to the gate, throwing nervous looks over my shoulder every so often. I'm almost there when suddenly I feel a presence behind me. Oh shit. Katsu? I try to spin around and scream simultaneously, but a hand is thrown over my mouth. Again, girl. I'm grabbed around the waist and pulled forcibly against a warm body that starkly contrasts to the cool night air. I'm not confronted by it. Oh, shit. I'm not comforted by it at all, though. Who do you think it is? I'm guessing it's Tatsuya. No, not Tatsuya. Maybe Taku? Shh, it's just me. Takumi? Oh, wait, Takumi. Why did I say it like that? My eyes go wider, and I thought possible. Takumi? Well, that's what I try to say, but it comes out muffled. I struggle to turn around and verify his identity, but his strong arms won't budge. Let's get out of here first, then I'll explain. Even though his usual high, clear voice is pitched low right now, I still recognize it. Somehow just hearing the strangely familiar sound makes me relax, and I feel Takumi's grip loosen. I nod in agreement with him, and while he completely lets my body go, his hand is still over my mouth. You promise not to scream? I nod again, and his hand drops. I inhale the cool air into my lungs in a gasp. I have to say, girl, you've had 2 different guys' hands on your mouth in one day. Wow. Man, he scared the crap out of me. Finally, I'm able to turn around, and I have to cover my mouth to stop the escaping scream of surprise. Oh, shite. What the heck? In the pale moonlight, I take in Takumi's visage, which is different from normal. He's dressed entirely in a fashion that reminds me of a ninja. From his half-masked to the daggers hanging at his side, everything about him exudes a different kind of feeling from his usual carefree style. As I examine him with my mouth hanging open, he stares back at me with bright violet eyes that seem to hold danger within them. Creepy. I don't know why I said creepy, don't listen to me. Is this really Takumi? After letting me get a good look at him, Takumi strides toward the gate. He signals with 2 fingers for me to follow him. Hesitantly, I obey and go through the gate after him. Although I'm so confused right now, I'm glad he's here. Oh, this looks like the forest from Show's route. The one that's... What's his name? What was his name? Julius. Julius's castle thingy mansion. The forest that we ran into at one point. Anyway, we've finally gotten outside of the compound, and we're greeted by a dark forest. Internally, I give thanks to whoever decided it would be a full moon on this night. Still, though... I nearly twist... Wow. I nearly hiccup. I nearly twist my ankle on some unseen snarled root and almost fall, but Takumi reaches out a hand to steady me.
Just hold on to me already.
This is like the third time you've done that. Takumi holds out his hand. Since he's been using his hand to pull apart some of the tangled shrubbery for me, sheepishly, I grab onto Takumi's sleeve, feeling like a child. How is it he can even see so well in the dark? This place is almost pitch black. After a few more minutes of watching Takumi silently and adeptly move through this place, I begin to think, what the hell kind of double life he must lead to show up here dressed like that? I was so surprised and grateful to see him, I didn't even bother to ask yet. I'm about to open my mouth and ask what exactly is going on when the trees suddenly open up into a clearing. I can see something white within the bushes. Takumi walks over and pulls a white scooter out, brushing away the leaves. Oh, dude, look at you. He pulls it out rather proudly and gestures to it. Is he some sort of spy? Ninja spy? I don't know.
This is how we're going to get back to the city. Isn't she beautiful?
Sure. Yeah. It looks like you take good care of her. Takumi gets on first and gestures for me to get on behind him. Well, this won't be awkward at all. Not having a choice, I walk to the scooter and get on behind Takumi, leaving some distance between us.
It's going to be a bumpy ride until we get on the street, so hang on tight.
Takumi starts the scooter, and in moments, we're rushing off into the night. What is your job, Takumi? This is creepy. Oh, I like the area, though. It's pretty. I don't know how long passes while we move within the quiet night. The empty highway that seemed to stretch forever eventually gave way to the cityscape on the horizon. Takumi hasn't spoken the entire time, and for some reason, I haven't been able to get up the courage to break the oppressive silence of the night. But now that we're close to the city, I raise my voice to yell above the road noise. Takumi, are you going to explain what you were doing there? And why you're dressed like this?
Simple. I do night work like this all the time as a detective.
Oh, there we go. Now we know what you are.
As for why I was there specifically, I can't say.
For some reason, I seem to detect a bit of coldness in his tone. I decide against asking about it. Oh, you're a detective? But you're so young.
Been one for years, but now it's my time to ask the questions.
Huh? I totally forgot he must not know why I was there either. Oh, okay. What do you want to know?
How about starting with why you were there at all? Or more specifically, why were you in Kasuma's bed?
How do you know about that? An icy silence is my only answer though. I guess he was watching me for a while then. Creepy. So I guess I should tell him what I know. We are going to say, you don't know. I really don't know what happened. Could have been anything, honestly. I shudder. To be honest, I don't really know why I was in the bed or anything else.
How is it that you don't know how you woke up next to some guy? Were you drinking and passed out?
No. What kind of girl do you think I am? Pouting a bit, I decide not to tell him what I know. It's not really your business what I'm up to anyway. If I want to sleep with 10 guys, I don't see what it... Oh my god. Of course, it's supposed to be something dramatic, and I'm like... It's not really your business what I'm up to anyway. If I want to sleep with 10 guys, I don't see what it has to do with you. Oh, girl. Takumi's body stiffens, and I instantly regret what I said. Ugh. I don't mean to sound ungrateful. I just really don't know how I got there. I was with Katsu one moment, attacked by some random person the next, and woke up there last. That enough for you? Takumi nods curtly, and I sense I've irritated him. That room was so weird anyway. It's like, it looked so Western. Nothing like the rest of the house. I can shed some light on that one. Ever since the Kasemas came to power, they've been slowly working on remodeling the top floor. The room you were in wasn't Katsu's either. So, that might explain the weird decor.
Someone else's room? So why were we...
But Takumi interrupts my thoughts with rapid-fire questions. Tell me more about the attack. Do you remember any specifics? What did that person look like? Do you remember anything that might have stood out about them?
Oh, I guess, maybe? Let me think.
I tell him everything I remember about the attacker, though Takumi keeps asking more questions. When he finally seems satisfied, I try asking him more, but he refuses to answer. Sighing, I resign myself to sitting quietly. A wave of exhaustion hits me so strongly that I feel as if I fall asleep right there. I am going to let you guys go here. I hope you are enjoying. Now, if you, like I said in some of the other videos, if you wanted to see the passionate ending with Sho and all the other men, let me know. I will do that after I complete everybody's mystic endings. But I don't do bad endings unless you guys really want a bad ending from me. And this game has a dark ending and 2 bad endings. So if you want to see those, which I hate doing, I don't think I've ever done a bad ending in my life of any game. But if you truly want to see bad endings, let me know. And I will hate myself for doing it, but I will work on the bad endings. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying and see you next one. Bye!